Based on the above and in line with the recommendation of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, the various federal government committees that have reviewed socio-economic matters and the Nigerian Governors Forum, I have approved a phased and gradual easing of lockdown measures in FCT, Lagos, and Ogun states effective from Monday, 4th of May 2020. However, this will be followed strictly with aggressive reinforcement of testing and contact tracing measures while allowing the restoration of some economic and business activities in certain sectors. Furthermore, new nationwide measures are to be introduced as follows. A. There will be an overnight curfew from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. This means all movements will be prohibited during this period except for essential services. B. There will be a ban on non-essential interstate passenger travel until further notice. C. Partial and controlled interstate movement of goods and services will be allowed for the movement of goods and services from producers to consumers. And D. We will strictly ensure the mandatory use of face masks or coverings in public in addition to maintaining physical distancing and personal hygiene.
Good morning, this is Daybreak Africa here on television Nigeria. My name is Messi Joe.
And I'm Elvis Oga.
The President, Muhammadu Buhari, addressed the nation yesterday concerning the lifting of the lockdown, and Nigerians have raised a lot of dust about all that he had to say in his speech.
Oh yes, for the third time yesterday, we saw President Muhammadu Buhari, the President of Nigeria, come out to address the nation as regards COVID-19, lockdown, and every other thing that has to do with easing out or phasing out the deadly virus. And like you said, Nigerians have actually been raising dust concerning all he had to say yesterday. Exactly. Especially most people are questioning if it is the right time to ease off these lockdowns.
Yes. There has been an extension by 1 week for still the FCT, Ogun State and Lagos State, yes, till the 4th of May.
Yes.
Lots of persons are now happy that he has gradually lifted the lockdown, because I think they're getting it twisted. It's not a complete lifting of the lockdown.
It's just a gradual
easing of the lockdown.
Yes.
But I still have a problem. There are curfews.
8 p.m. to 6 a.m.
8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
8 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Exactly. Whichever way.
Yes, I understand.
Does COVID-19 abide by curfews? Do you want to tell me now that the curfew that is being put in place, it means COVID-19 will not be in movement at that particular period?
Like you rightly pointed out, it's not the total lifting of the lockdown. It's a gradual easing off of this lockdown. And then, there were a series of economic implications or projections and then similar worries from people regarding how well will our economy fare if we don't take some drastic measure at the moment. We all know that, health-wise, it is very okay for this lockdown to be in place, but Nigerians are actually crying. And then people were like, how about giving these palliatives or handout to people who actually, do we call them artisans? Yes, who actually go out on a daily to get their food and everything. But do we know that it will come to a time that the government cannot sustain these palliatives if we remain in this lockdown? So I think because the president actually made mention of intensifying other preventive measures. So if those measures can be well implemented, easing of the lockdown is not a bad thing, especially looking at it from the economic angle.
The government, there's not a problem with saying lifting the lockdown. The problem now is the rural communities.
Yes.
How did the government come in now? This is 1 week before the 4th of May. Before that 4th of May, what is the government going to implement for these rural communities? Most of them, are they going to be exposed to water, soap, sanitizers, face mask. Now, when we talk about face mask, we don't mean giving them one each. We mean giving them about a pack or a carton per person, so they can use for the whole of the lifting of the lockdown.
Regarding the face mask, I think there's a little shift from the normal, from the norms that we know, where the disposable ones are used. There's this people trying to tap into the opportunities created by this COVID-19 pandemic, where local tailors are encouraged to manufacture these things.
Yes, and he said that in his speech.
Yes.
But now the question is that what the federal government is going to implement, or they are still going to be making use of this disposable face mask? Because if you check, the government says this and this other thing is happening.
Yes.
The face mask, even the federal government officials have been using, are the disposable face mask. So don't you think that is the same face mask that they are going to give to these people?
One thing we need to understand about what happened yesterday, or the speech given by the president yesterday, it's like we have to look at it from the angle of seemingly collaboration between the president and then the Nigerian Governors Forum, because he took into consideration, or he admitted that, okay, the Nigerian Governors Forum actually gave out some suggestions, and then he made reference to it. So most of the state governors actually are advocating for the local manufacturing of this face mask. So we are looking forward to see how these things are properly managed, so that we don't see rising cases of COVID-19 infections any longer.
Are we expecting to see or have a case of Ghana? The Ghana president lifted the lockdown.
And then we saw
in 1 week, we saw a rapid increase of cases, about 271 cases.
That's why we have to take a very good cognizance of the fact that those intensive preventive
and now
measures
they've gone
are
back
being
to the
implemented.
lockdown.
That's another
They had
thing.
about 1,042 cases before the lifting of the lockdown. After the lifting of the lockdown, they had 1,550 cases. And the reason why the president lifted the lockdown was because of improved coronavirus cases. Now, how comes the cases now increased if you claimed there were improved cases? Should we be seeing that will not happen over time in same Nigeria?
You know, the people say even though experience is the best teacher, but learning from the mistakes of others, what actually put your wisdom to use or expose how wise you are as a person. So it's now left for Nigeria government and Nigerians to learn from maybe what has happened in Ghana, to see how well we can manage ourselves even in the face of easing of this lockdown, so that we don't get to see a repeat of what happened in Ghana.
True, you have a point there, but I still have so many fears because Nigerians are already getting carried away. If you visited Twitter last night, you see lots of persons already jubilating. Now, the president still said no social gathering, no religious gathering, no events. But it seems like Nigerians did not really pay attention word by word what the president was implying when he said, even despite he's saying some businesses will open, he's not talking about all of the businesses. Trades, transportation, partial movement of transportation for only producers versus consumers.
And some essential commodities.
And still some essential commodities. And interstate borders are still going to be locked.
Talking about Nigerians not getting the message quite well yesterday, that is why I see the seemingly 1 week extension as a good way, because Nigerians now study from now till May 4th to say, okay, how well they can get this message clearer, and then maybe put it to use gradually.
Another problem I want to talk about is discipline. Discipline in the part of Nigerians. It's one thing for the federal government to have come out now to say, okay, this is what they wanted. They wanted a lifting of the lockdown so that they can go about their daily businesses. Now, how disciplined are these Nigerians? Are they going to use their face mask? Are they going to abide by social distancing? Are they going to wash their hands regularly? Or they are going to be nonchalant about all these things? That is always the fear. That's the major fear.
In as much as like the government is actually trying its very best at different levels, both at the federal, local,
the
and
people
state
still
level,
have a role to play.
But the people have a role to play. And then before we came on air, we're actually talking about, okay, how can government even go further to help citizens abide by these preventive measures? Like, okay, we're talking about fumigation of this transport system that since people are about to move gradually every morning, and then providing hand sanitizers before people go to these vehicles. They have adequate use of these hand sanitizers.
Like those vehicles for Along in Abuja.
Yes.
I think they admit 4 persons behind and 1 person in front. Sometimes they even make 2 persons be in front and 4 people be at the back.
So if they can reduce the number of people,
persons,
possibly
actually,
people were saying if they reduce the number of people, they are going to see maybe what they call increment in the price or hike in the price of this thing. But it's only who stays alive that knows whether there is hardship or not. So
because Nigerians are now taking this thing like survival of the fittest. Who's immune? I don't know if you read something. Made the best immune system win.
Yeah,
At this point, it's like if we survive, we survive. If we die, we die. So there's really a lot to talk about. There's really a lot to say, but lots cannot be overemphasized about the whole thing. But does Nigeria have what it takes to really contain this virus?
You see, if you go through the president's speech yesterday, you see some gains recorded as a result of the lockdown, like foreign transmission being reduced to 19% out of all the cases that have, which is now being limited to community transmission. So some of this lockdown, the lockdown actually helped in some way, and then easing of this lockdown, like I said, is just how disciplined, like you mentioned as well, Nigerians are in implementing or abiding by the guidelines from NCDC and other authorities.
Okay. As at last night, 11:20 p.m., Nigeria recorded yet another 64 new cases. 34 from Lagos, 15 from the FCT, 11 from Borno, and 2 each from Taraba and Gombe State. Now, if we're having these cases as at last night, what will be the outcome before the end of the week? Because presently we have a total of 1,337 cases.
Yeah.
When the lockdown is being lifted. Now, we do realize that this virus does not spread when we are home. This virus spreads more when we are moving. So, can we really say it's the right thing that the lockdown should be lifted, whether gradually or not gradually?
You see, like we're talking about the economic implications. We talked about hunger virus versus coronavirus the other day, and we saw how Nigerians were reacting to it. I say, okay, what would be the point when you stay at home, and then most Nigerians feel it is better they go out to confront the virus than sit at home and then die of hunger. And then we have to understand that, okay, government actually become responsible when they take into consideration or listen to the plight of the people. So in their own little way, I think they are trying their possible best to see that, okay, this is more like creating balance. It's so unfortunate that this is more like a situation of being caught between the devil and the deep blue sea.
Exactly. So, fellow Nigerians, the federal government has come out to lift the lockdown, but it's now also in your hands to make sure you adhere to measures, precautionary measures. Use your sanitizers. If you can get sanitizers, soaps, face mask, you can try to distribute to some persons in the local communities. We should do well by ourselves, as the federal government has come to actually listen to what we have been saying. Thank you very much. Let's join Susan Arching on the news desk.
My name is Chiwendu Osisiago, presenter Television Nigerian Business Daily. In a globalizing world, ours is to keep you engaged, informed and educated on contemporary happenings and business world. We therefore command a special audience of business-minded viewers who are eager to know more about business. I mean, your business. Why don't you take advantage of our special affordable offer to let the world know about your concepts, your goods, and of course, your services? You can call us on 080-3071-6959 or 070-3234-9054. You can also visit us at Television Nigerian in Guzapi, Abuja, and follow us on all the social media handles on Facebook, YouTube, and of course, on Twitter at Television Nigerian. Your business is our concern.
Good morning and welcome to AM News. My name is Susan Achin. President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered the enforcement of a total lockdown in Kano State. The president stated this while addressing the nation for the third time on the COVID-19 pandemic in the country and measures being taken to tackle it. He stated that he has been gravely concerned about what has been transpiring in Kano, noting that the federal government will deploy all the necessary human, material and technical resources to support the state in controlling and containing the pandemic and preventing the risk of further spread to neighboring states. President Buhari also stated that the lockdown will be gradually lifted from May 4th, after which new measures such as a ban on interstate travels, overnight curfew, mandatory use of face masks, as well as physical distancing will start to apply. Burundi on Monday launched a campaign for next month's presidential, legislative and municipal elections, ignoring allegations of downplaying the risk of coronavirus and reports of violence against the opposition. 7 candidates are running in the May 20 polls in the small East African nation where life has proceeded largely as normal, with the authorities claiming God will protect citizens from COVID-19. The ruling party and the main opposition party were expected to hold rallies Monday that could draw tens of thousands of supporters, the kind of large gatherings that have been banned in many other parts of Africa and around the world. Burundi has recorded 15 cases of COVID-19 and 1 death. Though testing has been extremely limited in this country of 12 million, few precautions have so far been taken for the campaign period, which will end on May 17. Nigeria on Monday recorded 64 new cases of the novel coronavirus, bringing the country's total infections to 1,337, according to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC). According to the NCDC in the tweet via its official handle, 34 of the new infections were found in Lagos, 15 in the FCT, 11 in Borno, and 2 each in Taraba and Gombe. The country's total deaths from the virus still stands at 40, while 255 have recovered. Now in Ethiopia, heavy rains have caused flooding and landslides in the country, killing 4 and displacing hundreds more. The worst hit area was the eastern city of Diradawa. The heavy and prolonged rains also caused landslides in the south of the country, forcing hundreds to flee their homes. This comes as the country battles to contain the spread of the coronavirus. Africa's second most populous nation has recorded just 124 cases of the COVID-19, but repeated disasters are putting additional strains on those fighting the disease. Ethiopia is also dealing with a fresh wave of locusts, with billions of the tiny insects making their way across the country, threatening harvest and leading to food shortages. Now, Raymond Dupessi Jr., chairman of DAR Communications, has tested positive for coronavirus. He disclosed this to his staff in Abuja. AIT, a subsidiary of DAR Communications, reported on Monday evening. A senior AIT official also confirmed the report, adding that Mr. Dupessi's wife and children tested negative for the virus. The younger Dupessi was said to have been on self-quarantine for about a week, during which he began to show symptoms of malaria, nausea, and then cough. He reportedly contracted the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, whose tests showed he had contracted the virus. Now we'll move on to the world of business, where Algeria has temporarily scrapped customs duties and value-added tax, VAT, on import pharmaceutical products and medical equipment to help cope with a growing number of infections with the novel coronavirus, according to the government. Algeria has been importing most of its medical products needs from China since the outbreak of the virus, and the government has said it will spend $100 million in purchases of these products. Now moving on to the entertainment scene, social media has recently been set abuzz after news broke out that Nollywood actress Mercy Johnson Okoje had welcomed her fourth child. The news was shared on Instagram by a close colleague of the actress, Junior Pope, who congratulated the actress and shared some photos of the movie star in his post. However, shortly after he shared the news on his page, Prince Odi Okoje came out to deny reports that his wife had put to bed. Okoje noted that no such thing had taken place and he would be sure to notify her fans and followers once it did. Well, congratulations to the actress in advance. And that's it on AM News. I am Susan Achin.
Good morning, Susan.
Good morning, Mercy. Good morning, Elvis.
Good morning.
Hope you slept well.
Of course I
Hope
did.
you're feeling fine this morning.
I'm feeling great.
She's actually radiating, I can see that. You don't need to tell me.
The president said some things yesterday, so I should be feeling great, shouldn't I?
So you're also in support of the lifting of the lockdown?
Well, not really. Not really. I must say that I feel the pain, of the presidency. It's not really easy for them. The NCDC have been trying their best, and I feel that if they decided to take a look at easing the lockdown, they must have taken a lot of things into consideration.
Yes.
They most likely haven't done this blindly. So I feel that whatever they would do will be in the interest of Nigerians, but precautionary measures, like I was saying earlier on in the program, have to be taken seriously. The issue here is, even when there was a lockdown, we couldn't really say that the precautionary measures were being observed everywhere. It wasn't easy. So now, easing this lockdown, how do you control physical distancing?
Again.
How do you get people to do the right thing, to wash their hands, use sanitizers? But, Nigerians will always, every day, pick hunger virus over coronavirus.
Before now, I still notice some religious gatherings.
Yes.
So I can't tell now how it's going to be like, even after lifting this lockdown.
Yes. Even
Going to the Raymond Dapasi's story, there's actually
it's a big one there.
He has actually called out for persons that may have come in contact with him during the period before he was tested positive for the virus to actually go and test themselves as well.
There's this part of the story that I love so much as well, where he said he was heading to the isolation center in Guaculada to see, like he is more like always in the public or in the public eye. So trying to do this is more like setting a very good precedent for people to follow, so that people who feel okay, they will be stigmatized if they break out the news of them. It's actually addressing that one next thing.
Yeah, another interesting story I enjoyed was Mercy Johnson's husband coming out to say, my wife has not yet put to bed, but when she puts to bed, we'll let you know.
Nigerians are fast forwarding her delivery. Nigerians are just too eager. Anyways, I understand the fact that they are locked down, and they're just looking for anything to be excited about, anything to type, to say something about,
shift their attention,
to shift their attention. So I feel like it's positive. If we're expecting her to give birth, then it's a positive thing, and she's almost due. So
exactly.
Interestingly, from
pictures of previous birth is what has been coming up online. And people are actually sending congratulatory messages, not knowing that is not the recent birth.
Susan is not even left out of that. Like, she's already sent her congratulatory messages
yes,
in advance.
Once again, congrats to Johnson and
Interestingly, from Algeria, taking off custom duty and some other tax waivers.
Yes,
it's actually a good one at this moment.
Yes, it's encouraging.
It's
really encouraging.
It's actually a welcome development.
Because you see, the coronavirus pandemic has actually put so many economies through trying times, and then
eating deep into people.
Yeah, so for the country to think it this wise, it's another way of easing the pain of the
stress.
People.
Exactly. On people in this period. All right, so we now move to Josephine Paul. She has news across Africa. Stay with us.
Africa on Daybreak Africa. Tensions flared in Somalia over the weekend, causing angry protesters to burn tires and demand justice. Confinement and travel restrictions against the coronavirus are proving extremely difficult to enforce. Residents are giving security officers a hard time, and the reactions from security forces have infuriated the population who are opposed to preventive measures against the virus. A police officer in Mogadishu was arrested for shooting at least one civilian while he was enforcing restrictions over the pandemic.
This demonstration will continue until the government's senior officials listen to the outcry of the population. We want the government to reverse the curfew decision that is imposed on the residents during this holy month.
South Africa on Sunday received a medical team from Cuba to help health officials treat COVID-19 patients. The 217 healthcare professionals include doctors, nurses, epidemiologists, and technical experts. The largest contingent has been deployed to Johannesburg and Cape Town. Cuban officials say the large team sent to South Africa will bring much-needed support and expertise to health systems struggling to contain and treat an increasing number of COVID-19 patients. Cuba is dealing with its own virus outbreak, but according to officials, measures to contain COVID-19 are showing signs of success even as the number of cases continue to grow.
More than 12,000 people were willing to fight Ebola, and right now there are thousands of Cubans willing to complete these missions.
Kenyan laboratories on the front line in the fight against coronavirus are stepping up their preparedness. At the Cambridge Medical Research Institute in the capital, Nairobi, researchers are tracking the virus with a range of newer equipment. They are preparing samples in machines capable of testing several thousands of people in a day. Faster and more secure machine detections have accelerated daily testing. Kenya, which recently launched a major anti-COVID-19 testing campaign, hopes to carry out nearly 250,000 tests by June.
So, the beauty about the equipment is a high-throughput equipment, which is able to test up to 960 samples in an 8-hour shift.
Months after Guinea-Bissau disputed presidential election, leaders in the West Africa bloc ECOWAS have acknowledged the victory of Umaru Embalo. In a statement released on Tuesday, the Economic Community of West African States said the decision followed a thorough analysis of the political situation in the country. The development signifies a diplomatic victory for Sissoko Embalo, who had organized his own investiture at the end of February and moved to the presidential palace with the support of the country's military. However, ECOWAS has asked Embalo to appoint a new prime minister and a new government by 22nd of May at the latest, in accordance with the Guinea-Bissau constitution. At least 17 people, including 12 rangers, were killed on Friday in an attack in Virunga National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site in the restive east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, park authorities said. Beside the 12 park rangers, a driver and 4 other civilians were killed in the attack, which park authorities have attributed to a Rwanda rebel group. Virunga National Park is spread more than 7,800 square kilometers over the borders of the DRC, Rwanda, and Uganda. The park is home to a world-famous population of mountain gorillas, but has been hit by rising instability and violence. That is all on news across Africa. Daybreak Africa continues shortly. I am Josephine Paul.
Welcome back from News Across Africa. This is still Daybreak Africa on television Nigeria. We'll now take a look at some news making rounds on some various newspaper. We have Mr. Victor Temba, who is here to share his thought on those headlines.
Good morning, Victor.
Yeah, nice to be here again. Yeah, good to have you join us this morning. Okay, the first headlines I will be taking a look at is coming from the Guardian newspaper with the banner headline, Gradual Easing of Lagos, Ogun, Abuja lockdown begins Saturday. Under the banner headline, we have Kano adopt verbal autopsy on strange death. Senate may okay 500 billion naira COVID-19 intervention fund today. And FG blames rising COVID-19 cases on non-compliance to measure. So many stories there.
Yeah, so many stories, and then you have to understand. Let us start from the major headline, which is the gradual easing of the lockdown in Lagos, Ogun, and FCT. Why that's actually going to begin from the 4th of May, which is next week.
That's Monday.
Yes. And so why there's going to be a gradual easing of the lockdown in these 3 states? There's going to be a total lockdown in Kano State for an initial period of 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yes, and then
with immediate effect from yesterday already.
Yes, in fact, it was like when the president said from immediate effect, it means that at that moment he said it, then it's
into action.
Yes, exactly. You swing into actions and then.
But there were still movements at that time.
Because it was very impromptu, but then it had already taken effect. In fact, even those who are supposed to implement it will take a bit time before they go about it and all of that. And we also have to understand that despite the fact that there's going to be an easing, the easing of the lockdown, gradual phasing out of the lockdown, it does not totally mean that all states might comply with that order. Other states who feel to be more threatened, like Lagos State, for example,
and even Kaduna has already
implemented 30 days.
Yeah, but then I think the lesson president order applied to the 3 states where he first of all gave the proclamation. So this Kaduna State is handling it on their own without any input from the federal government. I'm talking about the Ogun State, Lagos State, and the FCT.
But the curfew he was talking about, was it for just the FCT or nationwide?
That's going to be nationwide. Yes, definitely.
So what borders across other states regarding the speech and then the lockdown yesterday is the interstate travel that put on hold for now.
Exactly, and the listen curfew that is going to be in place.
Okay, we've been having a series of concern regarding Kano State and now the unexplainable death. Hundreds of people reportedly die from unknown sources, and then Kano has said they are resorting to verbal autopsy.
Yes, and that is quite funny because when the head of the lesson response team in Kano, when he was asked, he said that it's against Kano's tradition and their religion for them to carry out what they're going to autopsy if somebody is dead. So what they have actually resorted to is verbal autopsy. And then how does that work? You go to the deceased family house
and ask questions. What actually transpired before the death?
But would that really help?
Well, I don't.
We can't tell.
But we don't understand the wisdom in kind of adopting this verbal autopsy. But then we understand that yes, there is religion, there is a
tradition of the
state. But also in areas where there is in this kind of situation, I think sometimes you need to bypass all of that. You need to take that to the background and go the scientific way, because we're trying to find a solution. Verbal, what they call it, might not really be a solution.
Moving on, let's go to the Independent newspaper. Above the nameplate, we have federal government donates 250 bags of spoiled beans, other items to Benue IDPs. The federal government giving out 250 bags of spoiled beans. We had the problem of rice
in the Southwest
the other day.
And in fact, across all states in the Southwest.
Yes.
So, and then people have to understand that these were mostly products that were seized by the customs. Yes, they were seized by the customs. And you know what these customs do? If you are very familiar with the way these customs go about these things, you find out that once they seize this thing, they take it to their yard or what you would call it, compound, large office where they store these things, and they just pack it there. No any sort of maintenance. They just know that there are containers of rice in that area. So it's very possible that they will gather, for being there for so long, they will gather this kind
and
of
some of this food items
are
not even exposed to enough ventilation.
Exactly.
And if you do with agricultural produce, you know that these are post-harvest issues, like the storage issues.
Exactly. So what the federal government did was like, this food that you have seized, then there is no need keeping it. If let us just give it to people in this period of time, and then I don't think anybody knows that they were spoiled. To them, they were just donating rice and beans to those that need it. It's when you get there you find out that it's actually bad. But then the ones that are not bad, you can make use of it. The ones that are bad, then you have to dispose it. It's a gift.
So you do not see anything bad?
No, regarding the case of the Southwest, or was it Oyo Ondo we were talking about yesterday, the governor actually came out to say he did not even reject the food that out of the many bags that they got from federal government, it was less than 10% that they noticed it was bad. And they agreed that it is out of storage and all of these things. Like
exactly. So you just make use of the good ones and then
do away with the bad ones.
Okay, away from that, a quick look at the Nation newspaper shows headlines like Buhari ends lockdown in Lagos, Ogun, FCT. We actually saw that report from the earlier publications. We took Tinubu wife test negative, and above the nameplate we have INEC no plan to shift Edo and Ondo polls. 30 cars burnt in Lagos fuel station. CBN lift suspension on check clearing.
Yeah, obviously, and let's start with the CBN lifting of the suspension of check
clearing.
clearing. If people who deal in business will just realize that, or some people were not even aware that there was a ban on it in the first place, so they were issuing checks, and then when you go to the bank, you can't cash check. So it was all for these coronavirus measures and all of that. So now it's a good one that they have lifted the ban. Those who have these impending checks, if the banks are open, you can go ahead and clear your checks and all of that. And then the story on Tinubu and his wife, that is also, you remember that he lost one of his trusted heirs, somebody he considered his trusted, and then the person tested positive. Yeah, so it was it was only normal that they test themselves as well to find out, because he was somebody who was always in close contact with the family and all of that. Yeah.
Moving to the Punch newspaper, below the headline, we have Dar Communications chairman tests positive for COVID-19. That's Raymond Dopesi Jr. He came out to send a message to his staffs that he has tested positive for the virus, and he actually also said that those that may have come in contact with him for a period before he realized he was positive should actually still go and check himself.
And definitely he's just the latest high-profile individual to have fallen to this COVID-19 situation. And so why he was being tested positive when other people seemed like a bad news, then the other good news was that the son of Atiku, who was
tested negative now,
he too has now recovered fully from
after 40 days.
After 40 days. So, Christians, we are going to align it to 40 days and 40 nights. So it is very less than significant, basically. But then it's a very sad one for the family, I believe, and for those people who are come in contact with him. That is just the danger of it. Like, you get to have the virus in you, and then you're not aware in the beginning, and then you've had contact with other people who have gone ahead to have contact with. That is why it's dangerous. That is why I think the very first measure that governments all over the world thought that it was best to take was to self-isolate and lockdown, so that everybody stay in house, so that you don't get to move. Just like you always say, if you don't move, the virus won't move. And I think that's just the danger of it. But at the same time, locking people down, keeping them in one place is also dangerous for.
And the thing is that he can't even tell how he contracted the virus. Yes. He doesn't have any travel history for now. So how did?
I think to an extent they were making mention of travel history.
No, I think as of this morning, it wasn't confirmed how he contracted the virus.
So, and again, you also understand that there are cases, even in this Abuja, that had cases, but they never had any travel history.
Yes.
And then they too cannot explain. But then you understand that this virus live on surfaces. So what if from somebody who has it left on a particular surface, and then these ones go pick it up unknowingly? They have never traveled, they have never met somebody that has coronavirus, but then from the environment, surfaces, can happen as well.
Okay, away from that, from the Daily Sun, Wike confirms new cases, orders deportation of Almajiris, others. 7.74 billion naira fraud, more trouble for Kenny Martins as court gives fresh hearing date. Ailing senators bad as NAS reconvenes.
So let's start with Wike getting confirming new cases and also planning a deportation of Almajiris. Where I'll be waiting to see what kind of reactions we generate. Yes, from this decision, this policy, because remember that this will not be the first time. Remember, Kano also making plans
to from Almajiris to Katsina State.
Yeah, and I think Kaduna too were planning the same thing. I know something similar happened one time in Lagos when Lagos were deporting people back to the north and all. The north and all of that. So they called it deportation instead of
within the country.
Within the country, and that case didn't really go down well with a lot of people. So I'll be interested to see how it's going to basically pan out for Wike in Rivers State. And it's like Wike at one point in time came out to claim that Rivers is a Christian state. That was the period where there was this fake rumor that he destroyed the mosques, and then there was so much noise about it, and then he made statement that it's a Christian state, and then that has actually been on the minds of a lot of people. So we would like to see how this goes. If maybe to take it where maybe people understand that it's for the purpose of fighting coronavirus or any other thing.
Yeah, interesting stories here in the Daily Trust newspaper. For the headlines, COVID-19. Buhari allows 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. movements in states. Above the nameplate, we have federal government warns states against competing over figures. What do you have to say?
Okay. Definitely, federal government warning states over not to compete with figures is simply because the more cases you have, it means that you need the urgent help. When these cases came out in Kano, the Kano government at the point yesterday were crying foul that they have been abandoned by the federal government, that they need the federal government. And in the president's speech yesterday, he made it clear that he was going to send both financial human resources to assist Kano. So a lot of people are looking towards that. When this whole pandemic started in the first place, Lagos got about 10 billion naira. 4 billion was claim of what they have spent so far. 6 billion was the government's contribution, donation to Lagos State to see how much they could fight the coronavirus and all that. So other states are looking at it.
I think all affected states are being given 10 billion naira each.
Well,
I don't think the money is not equal.
Fully confirmed.
Yeah, because 10 billion naira is a huge sum of money.
Because the Kano governor is actually asking for 15 billion naira.
Yes, and you just have to understand because Kano cases, the way it has been rising so far,
it's quite peculiar to an extent.
It's peculiar, and then it's also a very populated
state, if not the most populated.
The most populated state, but then people look at it that Lagos is more populated than Kano. Kano claims to be more populated. So we don't really know, but we know that Kano is very densely populated. You can go, and then the coffee from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. From 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. We don't really know how well a lot of people have been thinking that how is that really supposed to impact or drastically reduce the spread of the virus, because most activities happen in the day. People move about in the day and not so much at night, So it means that at the daytime where there is activities, people going from one point to another, there are markets open, this virus could spread within that area. 8 to 6 a.m., that is where there is no traffic much, there is off-peak period. So may a lot of people understand it. Is it that the government has had meeting with coronavirus and say between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. you need to
I asked you that question earlier this morning. Because would you have suggested that they make it like a 6 a.m. to about 2 p.m. curfew?
No, it will still cripple economic activities. I think when you listen to the president's speech, he took about the economy, looking at how much it has affected people. So this was just a measure to make sure that economy goes back. Like we say, government cannot really afford to take care of everybody in Nigeria. True. Even though we need it. So it was just a way out for them that let us open back economic activities. Those that can make money within the period, let them go ahead and make money so they can take care of themselves instead of depending on the government to come to their aid.
We're even trying to look at the thing by maybe thinking out of the box. We are trying to see if the virus actually moves more in the daytime or at night, or if it has a selective time.
Maybe it sleeps at night.
If you try to think outside of the box, you know that it might be easier for people to ignore these preventive measures at night. When people are watching, and then maybe someone is there to administer the hand sanitizer, fumigate places, but at night people might not want to adhere to this. People can actually come closely together at night, but daytime, if you do that, you'll be seen earlier. So all of those things we need to look at.
Even during the 6 a.m. to the 8 p.m. Curfew, how many Nigerians will actually obey using their face mask?
That's why we keep singing it from here every now and then, that in as much as the government is trying, it is still our responsibility to care for ourselves.
Definitely it is.
Okay, let's take a look at this headline from this particular publication. We have here from the Business Day, how CBN intervention may make or break for indigenous oil firms. Nigerian hospitals in peril over surging cost of masks and protective gowns.
Definitely, we know in Nigeria, basically, in situations like these, things will always increase the prices. So talking about the face masks and gears being expensive, it's as usual. Everything's expensive right now in Nigeria, including food items. Even masks that was being bought for 100 naira, 50 naira, I don't know. Now people are actually buying it for
as much as
400, some places 500.
So it's just a a usual thing to happen in this kind of situation in Nigeria.
Thank you, Victor Temba. It was really a nice time having a newspaper review with you.
Thank you very much, Mercy. Thanks for having me.
Okay, no problem. Let's go to the health desk and see what they have for us on good diets. It's been a nice time with you. This has been Daybreak Africa here on Television Nigeria. My name is Mercy Joe.
And I'm Elvis Oga. I'd like to say a very big thank you once more for riding with us on the show. We will do this again tomorrow, same time, same place.
So we're signing out with sports. And remember, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Television Nigeria and follow us on all our social media platforms on Television Nigeria. Thank you and have a nice day. Stay safe.
Abia Warriors goalkeeper Charles Tambi was shot by hoodlums in Ibadan on Friday. Umuahia-based shortstopper has since been rushed to University College Hospital for medical attention. In a statement by the club's sporting director, Patrick Ngwagu, the player was observing his morning walk at 7 a.m. on Friday morning in Apata area of Ibadan, where he stays with his family during the outbreak. The hoodlums approached and collected his wristwatch, handset, and shot him on the hand. Meanwhile, Tambi has now been discharged. Super Eagles midfielder Wilfred Ndidi has been voted Leicester City's most valuable player in the Premier League this season. This was announced on Sky Sports website after voting was concluded following the suspension of football in England. Due to coronavirus outbreak, fans were asked to vote for their club's Premier League's MVP so far this campaign. After the collation of votes, Sky Sports unveiled the MVPs for each of the 20 Premier Leagues club. Ndidi had 23 league appearances, scored 2 goals and 1 assist. He had also helped Leicester in the Champions League spot as they currently occupy 3rd position in the league table. Alex Iwobi's Everton teammate Moise Kean has come under heavy criticism for throwing a rauchy party at home in lockdown. Kean, 20, filmed himself at the party in his Cheshire apartment. Several models were seen lap dancing and touching the crotchet of men in the footage, posted to a private Snapchat group with the caption, "Quarantine Clean." Meanwhile, Everton are appalled to learn of the incident and plan to take strong penalty measures against the player.